Hey, welcome back to our Advent study where we are trying to take Christmas biblically seriously this year. Advent is again from December 1st all the way through December 25th. We are taking all 25 of those days, not to wait until Christmas Day to think about Jesus, but to really take all the days and weeks leading up to the climactic moment where we celebrate his birth to remember it every day, to anticipate the birth of Christ every day. Last week, we looked at a bunch of the prophecies from the Old Testament that talked about that the Messiah would come, when he would come, where he would come, why he would come. We looked at all of these different things, seeing that the Old Testament, this isn't just a New Testament thing, the Old Testament prophesied that the Messiah would be coming. And Jesus fits perfectly the prophecies the Old Testament lays out for us about the Messiah. This week, I want us to do something that's a little bit unconventional. And I want us to really begin to capture the spirit of Christmas this week. And in order for us to truly step into the spirit of Christmas, I think we're going to have to look at what does it actually mean? What are the markers of someone who has the Spirit? And the markers of someone who has the Spirit, not just the Spirit of Christmas, but the Spirit, are the fruit of the Spirit. And so for the next 9 days, I want us to look at different Bible Christmas characters who exude different fruits of the Spirit so that we can step into those fruits and have the spirit of Christmas. Without a doubt, the spirit of Christmas is when we exude the fruits of the Spirit. Things like love, joy, peace, patience, all the fruits listed in Galatians chapter 5 and verse 22. And we're going to start with fruit number 1 today, and that is love. The first fruit listed out of the fruit of the Spirit is love. And without a doubt, to me, the person in the entire Christmas biblical narrative, to me, that encapsulates love would of course be Jesus. Jesus could be the person we look at for all of them, and as he should be. But I really want to look at some peripheral characters who aren't Jesus, who exemplify the spirit of Christmas, the fruits of the Spirit. And for me, the person who, without a doubt, exemplifies not just love, but unconditional love is Mary. Mary, without a doubt, is the person who exemplifies this fruit of the Spirit, the most famous one, and that is love. If you're unfamiliar, in Luke chapter 1, the angel Gabriel is sent to Mary to let her kind of in on what God wants to do in and through her. And so Gabriel shows up angelically. Mary is without a doubt terrified that an angelic presence is in the room, as you and I would be too, if all of a sudden an angelic being appeared wherever you are watching this right now. You would probably be a little scared too. Mary is scared at the reality that it's not just an impression in her heart, a thought that didn't feel like her thought. There is a literal angel standing there telling her a message from God. And the message is this: you are about to conceive a son, and it's going to be God's son. And then Mary pushes back and she says, how is this going to happen, being it that I've never known a man? She says, how could this happen, being it that I am still a virgin? And Gabriel looks at her and says, the power of the Most High will overshadow you, and you will become pregnant with a son who will be the very Son of God. He's going to sit on David's throne, is literally what Gabriel begins to say. And as Gabriel says all of this, I want you to notice Mary starts off in fear. She's terrified that there's an angel talking to her. And no doubt, I don't think it's a hop, skip, and a jump to begin to imagine that Mary is also having to run through the ramifications in her mind as to what this is going to mean socially for her. She is a young woman at this moment and a virgin, betrothed to a man, but not having the kind of relations it takes in order to have a child. no doubt the different scenarios, the scuttlebutt that will be going around town. Her imagination is no doubt running wild. I don't think it is a jump to begin to assume that. But notice what Mary says in light of the fear of an angelic presence coming, in light of her life not going the way she thought it would go, and the possibility of people having something to say about that. Here's how she responds to the angel Gabriel. In Luke chapter 1 and verse 38, Mary says this, "Behold, I am the servant of the Lord. Let it be to me according to your word." And the angel departed from her. Mary, when she has every opportunity to self-preserve and say, "Hey, you're crazy," or "Go pick somebody else," she says, "You know what? I know this is not at all how I imagined my life going. I'm a little terrified that you're an angel." And without a doubt, there are all the scenarios running through her mind, even though all of that just was thrust on her in just a moment. She says, "You know, my love for the Lord, I'm the servant of the Lord." Like, what love does Mary have for Yahweh? What love does Mary have for God? That when God throws a curveball, that when God begins to take her life in a way she never dreamed it would go, and in a way that's easily misunderstood by others, she says, "You know what, God, I trust you. I love you more than I loved my plan for my life. I love you more than I love being in perfect right standing with everybody around me, that they have, there's no holes for them to poke. I love you more than I love a safe life." That's what Mary's saying. I would rather play my part that is actually part of your plan than go through just the rigmarole of the plan I had conjured up that really is just a copy and paste of every other person's life that I've seen go before me. And I wanted to take today in this season of Advent to remind you, God has a plan for you, and you need to allow your love for him to fuel your ability to say yes, even when his plan flies in the face of not only your plan for you, but everyone else's plan for you. I'm not saying that it's okay to do anything that violates this word. Never, never, never. God will never ask you to do anything that violates this word. But when it violates what you think everyone else will think about, when it violates with the status quo, when God says, "Hey, I've actually called you this direction," and you begin to go, "Well, what are people going to think?" You've got to allow the unconditional, no conditions attached, your love for the Lord to call the shots in those moments. Literally what we see here, and we see it completely said in 1 John, that perfect love casts out all fear. But Mary starts this moment with Gabriel in fear. She's trembling. She's terrified. And by the end of it, her love for the Lord has cast out all fear. And she goes into the future that God's called her into. And you and I, hopefully, if you are saved, I know I am, and I believe you are, we are saved, we are heaven ready, and we're here to tell the world. And we may not have ever even gotten to have that moment had Mary's love for the Lord not been enough for her in this moment. Let your love for the Lord be enough for you in this season.